Hi, I'm Brainerd Carey. I'm the director of Praxis Center, and I'm also the author of this book, which came out just this past summer of 2021, Making It in the Art World, which is about building your career as an artist. I've also written several other books for artists to develop their careers. Today, I want to talk a little bit about sales. I want to keep it simple and talk about the number one thing that you need in order to make a sale of your work online, even offline. So to begin with, when people want to buy your work, it may happen in a number of ways. And after this video, by the way, I'm going to have more videos about marketing campaigns and how to use social media. But before that even happens, before you even start driving traffic to your site, there's one crucial element, and it's how you receive money, how you accept money for your art. So, for example, if you want to, if you're posting work on Instagram, and this is a common way people make sales, you post something on Instagram, and in the comments you say, "This work is for sale. If you're interested, DM me." Right? This is common, and if people like your work, they may DM you and say, "Hey, how much is that?" And you can tell them. But what they need to do next, if they're interested, oh wow, I'd like that. Does that include shipping? Can you send it to me? I'm in the United States or I'm in Canada. So what you need to do is find out what the shipping costs, and this you should know beforehand. And then a simple way for them to pay with just like one click, one button. Because the companies that are most successful online, the companies that do very well online, like Amazon, have an incredibly simple process for you to buy something. I'm sure you've tried to buy something online from a company, and sometimes they make you fill out all this information about yourself, then all this billing information, then put in your credit card, and then you missed something, a field wasn't filled in. And so you have to go back and do that. And it's a pain in the neck, a process that should have, been almost instantaneous. If you were at a store, you would just give them the money or give them a credit card. But sometimes a process online can take so long and be so frustrating that you think, forget it, right? Because when people are buying things, it's what they want in that moment, right then, right? Not necessarily an impulse buy, but a buy that's happening right now, something they want to purchase now. And so you have to give them a way to purchase that as easily as possible. So what are the ways of doing that? Sometimes people might say, oh, you can Venmo me, or you can use Zelle, or you can use PayPal. And that's true, but that's also not the fastest process, right? If you give somebody your PayPal address or say, yeah, here's my, Venmo or something like that, then they have to go through and look at their phone and send a payment and, open up their Venmo app. And that may seem like a simple step, but it's actually not. It's just one more barrier to you making a sale like that, right? You want to make it right away. When someone's interested and they say, okay, you want them to be able to essentially click a button and you have it. So there's a few ways of doing it, and you can explore a number of methods, but I'm going to give you a few examples, but this is critical, and oddly, it's the one thing that's often overlooked. Artists are looking for campaigns. How do I sell more work? What stores do I use? What platforms do I use? And some of those things answer this question, but still the critical first step is how that money gets to you quickly from anywhere in the world. So the simplest way for most people is to use something called PayPal.me. I don't know if you have used that before, but it's different than PayPal. It's part of PayPal, but it's quite different. It's PayPal.me. And if you put that in and you have a PayPal account, you'll see how it works. But essentially, what you can do is, and this is just one way of doing it quickly, if you say, yes, my work is $500, and the person says, great, I'd like to buy that painting for $500, then you send them, you say, great, you can pay right through this link, and it's a PayPal.me link, and it's usually something like PayPal.me Brainerd or something like that. Your name is usually in there. So what happens is when they click on that link, all they see is a little box that comes up where they fill in the amount, $500. Then they click send, and it goes to you. If they don't have a PayPal account, they'll be asked to link up a credit card, but most people have PayPal accounts. So that's one way for money to be sent very fast. And yes, you could use Venmo and other things, but PayPal.me is a system that makes it super easy in one link. So now let's talk about a few other methods, because there are many ways this can happen. And it would be ideal to have people not just use PayPal, but to have a number of ways they could pay. Like, imagine them being able to use Apple Pay, so they could see it on the phone. You DM them they DM you on Instagram, let's say, I'd like to buy that work. You say it's $500, and then in order to buy it, imagine they can just look at their phone, click it, and Apple Pay sends the money right to you. That's pretty ideal too, right? That's why these systems are made, so that people can buy what they want to buy or ask for immediately, without thinking anymore, without worrying about what's going to happen next. So and by what's happening next, I mean by thinking, oh, let me ask somebody else first, my wife, my husband, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, whoever it is. If they're interested and they're able to buy it right away, it makes it much more likely that you'll have a sale. So how do you get something like Apple Pay or all those other things that would make your ability much more sophisticated to do this? And again, we're not talking about a sales funnel, a landing page, or any of those things right now. I'll talk about those in future marketing videos here, but right now we're just talking about the idea of you receiving the money quickly when someone says, I'd like to pay for that. So one other way to do it is, yes, to use other platforms. Etsy is one, right? Etsy is a platform where you could potentially upload some of your work. And what's powerful about Etsy is it's pretty easy to buy from them. A lot of people have bought from them before. So when they go to buy from Etsy, if you said to them through your Instagram account, let's say, again, using that example of they see a painting on your Instagram account, in the comments of all your posts, you say, this work's available, DM me if you're interested. Then they send you a message and they say, I'd like to buy that. How much is it? And you say, $500. You can get it right here. And you give them the Etsy link, not to your Etsy store, but directly to the page where that painting is in your Etsy store. Now, a lot of people use Etsy, but even if they don't, they make the process seamless. And there's a number of ways you can pay through Etsy. So you get the benefit of using their platform, which allows your potential customer to use multiple forms of payment. Now, there are other methods that I could go through, but I wanted to mention just these two: PayPal.me, directly from you, or Etsy, which handles it for you essentially. So these are really critical. It's really critical because in order to sell work, you have to have a way for the money to come to you quickly. Again, I'll talk about marketing campaigns in more videos and how to drive traffic and build collectors and create more sales. But this one critical element is important. And you could also have, of course, a website. I like the website builder Squarespace.com. They have an e-commerce capability on their website. And it's not bad, right? A lot of them aren't great, but it's not bad. So if you have e-commerce on your website and you have images there for sale, they also handle the transaction fairly seamlessly. So again, someone DMs you on Instagram, says, I'm interested, I'd like to buy that work. Then you can say, well, you can buy it right here. And you give them a link, not to your website, not to the shop on your website, but a link to within the shop on your website that goes right to that painting. So they click on your link, they see your painting, and there's a buy now button right there. That can happen through an e-commerce website using Squarespace. There's many other e-commerce abilities. There's WordPress, and that has many plugins for this, but a lot of that gets kind of complicated, and you don't want to complicate the process of sales. And I don't mean it's, WordPress and using plugins is complicated for for the buyer necessarily, but it's a little more complicated for you to set up, and things can go wrong easier when you're in control of the whole interface. Using an e-commerce site like Squarespace has and other websites on your website, and that's an inexpensive website and a way to do it, is one way to keep it in your control and to keep it simple. Another way is to use something like an Etsy shop that also is handling sales and makes a purchase seamless. And the first way that I talked about, of course, was using PayPal.me, which is different than PayPal. It's not giving them your email address, send it here. PayPal.me allows you to send one link so people can just type in a number and the money goes right to you. This is critical. This is essential. This is often overlooked. So when you're thinking about making sales for your art, when you're thinking about making more sales for your art, what you have to be thinking about is, what's the easiest way I could design it so that a potential customer, a potential collector, a potential buyer could get this from me very, very easily. It's important. It's really important to know, because one of the things that prevents artists from selling work is not having an easy way to buy work. There was an artist who once told me that he had a very wealthy collector come to his studio, and that wealthy collector had been to his studio more than once, and he showed him around. He showed him all his paintings, and this is like the third visit. The guy hadn't bought anything, and he was kind of, at ends, like, why is this happening? Why isn't he buying anything? So he had a drink with him at a bar, and he starts talking to him about his art, and how he's trying to have more outreach and build up his collectors. And the guy turns to him and he says, you make it very hard to buy a piece of art from you. The artist was shocked. It's like, what are you talking about? You've been to my studio 3 times. He didn't say that to the guy, but he was just shocked. Like, it's not hard to buy a piece of art. You just say you want that, and I say it's $5,000, and you write me a check. But that was his perception, right? He was in his studio. He had plenty of money to buy work, but still it was difficult to buy the work. He wasn't sure how to do it. And this is common. And rather than ask, gee, how do I buy the work? Because he was unsure. Everyone's afraid of, saying the wrong thing to artists, or perhaps it's not done that way. And, and so there it is. Surprisingly, even in an in-person studio visit, this person's thinking, how do I buy this, right? That's not something that you'd find if you're looking for almost anything else online or in person. You'd know how to buy it. There would be prices somewhere, or the salesperson would tell you the prices, and there would be an easy way to buy it, likely with your credit card on the spot. So it's really telling, isn't it? It's not always obvious to the artist that it's difficult to buy their work. So that means, again, you're posting on Instagram, which is great. You're posting paintings or photographs or prints or whatever it is you make. In every post, you should say, this is available for sale. Something like that. DM me if you're interested. And then when they DM you, you should have a way for them to buy it right away. Either they go to a page on your e-commerce website or directly to it, or they go to something like Etsy and, again, directly to the painting, and there it is, all set up to buy and ship. Or you send them a PayPal.me link, at the very least, But you want to make it a seamless process for them, and you want to be aware that what the customer is looking for, what the collector is looking for, is a very easy way to purchase this. That's also secure, right? PayPal.me is secure. Buying from Etsy, you most people feel is secure. Buying from an e-commerce website even is secure. You're using, secure methods of using your credit card. If it's Apple Pay or something else, all those things are connected and secure. So I hope this is helpful. This is just the first step that is often overlooked. I can talk about marketing campaigns, and I will talk about marketing campaigns, but the important thing is that you begin to just realize and have in place for the collector that a seamless and simple buying process is critical. It's critical for all of us online. Nobody wants to sit there putting in numbers of a credit card and then realizing, oh, they want my phone number too, and if I don't put it in, it doesn't go through. You know, all those things are a pain in the neck, and they prevent a sale. You want it to go through like that. You want them to click a button, press a number, and it goes right through. That makes it highly likely that a sale will happen. And without this, it makes it highly unlikely that a sale will happen. So I want to thank you for making art. I want to thank you for watching these videos. And next week, I'll be talking more about building a marketing campaign to drive sales. But this is the number one thing you have to think about in terms of where do you send people when they want to buy your work. Again, paypal.me is a great option, but even better is to have it somewhere on a page, like using a platform like Etsy or your own e-commerce website like Squarespace, where you can direct their experience more and they'll have more options of how to purchase it when they get to that website, because e-commerce websites like Squarespace, which is your own website, or Etsy, which is not your website, but you have a store on there, make it very seamless for anyone to do so. So I wish you well. Thanks for making art. It's artists, I believe, are gifts to the world. It's very special that you're making art, and I appreciate that fact that you are making art. So thank you for watching this, and thank you for making art.